So today we are talking about what I think are the most fun classes in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. To start this video, I will say that this is all based on my own personal experience, playing different Wrath servers throughout the years, as well as absolutely no-lifing recently on the Wrath Classic beta, and which classes are the most fun for you will always be personal and subjective, based on your playstyle and what you want to do in the game. Some classes can be really fun for raiding, but they can be absolutely boring in player versus player scenarios, such as battlegrounds or even arenas, and if you prefer a melee playstyle, then ranged classes might not appeal to you as much. Before we get into the video, I also want to shout out my Wrath Classic Gold Guide as usual, and we are getting really close to the launch of Wrath of the Lich King now, so if you haven't gotten yourself a copy of the guide just yet, now is definitely the time to do so. This guide contains all of my Wrath investments that are making me tens of thousands of gold, the very best Wrath gold farms, and a bunch more gold making information. It is basically a 93 pages PDF document, and I've also included a 31 pages PDF document specified for the Fresh Wrath servers and how to make gold there, so you are getting 124 pages of gold making information. I am also working on a huge Wrath of the Lich King update, and how you can make thousands of gold at the launch of Wrath and the first few weeks of Wrath. So once again, if you definitely want to check it out. To sweeten the deal, you can also use the code Solheim to get the guide for half price, and after purchasing the guide you will also be invited to an exclusive gold making Discord server for Wrath Classic. Go 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 go. So the first class and spec combination that I want to highlight in this video is my own main class and spec, aka the Boomkins. Up until now, Boomkins have kind of been a snorefest really. Like in TBC, you're pretty much a glass cannon, and you can pump out some decent damage really fast, but you go out of mana incredibly fast as well, and they haven't really been suitable for raiding at all, let alone farming in the open world, as you need mana breaks between pretty much every 3 mobs. Well, in Wrath of the Lich King, they are simply so much more fun to play, and they are a really good class and spec combination. Balanced Druids are simply so much better, and so much more fun to play in Wrath of the Lich King. It is like a whole new spec. First of all, we have a major overhaul of how mana works in Wrath, as no classes no longer go out of mana incredibly quickly, and for Balanced Druids in particular, you have a lot of talents that will help you preserve your mana. On top of this, you also have the insane Starfall ability that just gets stronger and stronger the more gear you get, and by the end of Wrath this will absolutely one-shot everything you look at, and it's like a laser beam but with stars falling from the heaven instead. So all you have to do is throw some moonfires around, gather mobs around you, pop Starfall, and you are good to go. For raiding, they are also very good for both AoE and single target scenarios, and produce much more sustainable damage over time, instead of being a bursty class that goes out of mana after the first 20 seconds. The next class that I want to highlight in this video is the Mage. I am not really going to specify one specific spec here, as I think they are all really cool specs. Arcane works really well for raiding in the first few tiers, until Fire takes over, and Frost is pretty much just pretty good overall. When it comes to being the most fun class and spec combinations, personally I want to highlight Frost and Fire, which are two incredibly fun specs to play. First you have Frost, which is what it's always been. You have massive AoE farming possibilities, plus just insane AoE damage overall. You have your trusty Water Elemental, and there is one change coming in Wrath compared to TBC that is pretty huge. Your Blizzard Ticks can actually critically strike on each individual hit, meaning you proc your Frosty Fingers indefinitely, and you just keep dealing massive damage while AoEing down the mobs with Blizzard, and this just never gets old in my book. You also have Fire, which is just a fun spec to play overall in Wrath of the Lich King. You can actually do some decent and fun AoE farming through your Living Bomb ability. Living Bomb, and once you've stacked up enough critical strike rating, Fire is the absolute king of damage inside raids as well. Your Pyroblasts and Fireballs are going to hit like absolute trucks, and you're going to see bigger numbers than you've ever seen in your life. It is just a spec that just keeps getting better and better throughout the entire expansion, and you are probably gonna start seeing some of them already in the second phase of Wrath Classic. Keeping in line with casters, let's talk about Warlocks. Warlocks are a really good and fun class to play in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. First of all, it is probably the class with the most amount of raid spots as a DPS, so if you're looking to pretty much secure yourself a raid spot and you want to play a DPS, Warlock is probably the class that you want to go for. Like, Warlocks are literally being stacked inside raids, and they are strong in pretty much every single raid here. On top of this, Warlocks are incredibly fun to play in general, and are a lot of fun to farm with. Using their Siphon Life and Corruption spec, they can pretty much pull infinite amount of mobs and just slowly burn them down through damage over time, and your Siphon Life talent will heal you based on your Corruption damage. By using the Glyph of Siphon Life and various talents, you can increase how much healing you get from Siphon Life, and it's absolutely ridiculous how much healing you can get from this talent. So this far we have only really talked about casters, and believe it or not, I usually don't enjoy the caster playstyle, but the fact is just that so many casters are being improved in Wrath of the Lich King, which makes them so much more fun to play. But I also want to talk about a very popular class that is also becoming absolutely insane in Wrath of the Lich King Classic: Warriors. For the purpose of this video, I will specifically talk about the Protection Warrior, but even DPS Warriors are pretty insane in Wrath, especially in the later tiers such as Icecrown Citadel. So Protection Warriors are actually so much fun to play in Wrath of the Lich King. Their damage output is through the roof, and their survival abilities are, as always, really good as well. They might not be the best tanks for dungeons or raids specifically, it all depends on your group setup, but I do believe a lot of groups will prefer Death Knight tanks or Paladin tanks over Protection Warriors, but when it comes to soloing content and just having an absolute blast while tanking, being a Protection Warrior is like accessing your inner Viking with a sword and shield and being on the front lines, fighting your enemies. Using Revenge with the right talent, you deal so much damage, it is not even funny, and level 70 Protection Warriors can legitimately solo the elites inside Utgard Keep, which is pretty insane if you ask me, and even at level 80, Protection Warriors are pretty insane at farming mobs in the open world, as they can deal really strong damage through their Revenge ability, while still being able to keep themselves alive. I leveled up as a Boomkin recently on Frostmourne, another Wrath server, and once I hit level 80 I saw a Protection Warrior farming Eternal Lives in the open world, and he was seriously so efficient in literal fresh level 80 gear, aka full of greens, and he took down the mobs so quickly. So yeah, there you have it guys, a couple of classes and spec combinations that I think are really fun to play in Wrath, and not only are they fun, but they are really good as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider dropping a like on it, and let me know in the comments down below which class you will play in Wrath. That is pretty much it though, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.